Welcome back to the shop. My name's Jamie, and today we're going to take a look at this KO Lee surface grinder. I picked this up a couple of months ago. It's somewhere around a 1980s built machine, and I'm going to take you along as I learn about how it works. We've got a owner's manual, some old cool brochures and paperwork that came with it. We'll take a look at that. We'll go through it and make sure that it's fully operational, find out how it works. It's a hydraulic unit. There's lots of levers and dials here to turn and adjust. But we're going to start off first with just doing a quick 5-corner test on this chuck to see just how parallel it is. We'll do that in manual mode, and if those results are good, then we'll just move right on towards cleaning up the machine, again, checking the hydraulics, making sure that everything's functioning properly, and working to chase those tenths.
First things first, that light has to go. It's really putting off no light at all. So I think we're going to swap that out. I only have a 75-watt LED, but I think I'm going to get something as bright as the sun to help brighten up the workspace. So the 5-corner process, pretty straightforward. And it's a great test to do if you have, recently acquired a surface grinder, or if you have moved it. There's something that's happened and you're not sure of the quality of your chuck. You take 5 pieces, put them on the corners of the machine, one in the middle, and then grind one side. So I'm finishing up the first side here, and then flip them over and grind the second side, and then just make sure that finishing pass, that they're all getting the same depth of cut and the same height, on the machine. So that will, really let you know if the machine is tilted, if the chuck's not quite on right, if there's anything you need to take a look out for.
Yeah, surface finish seems okay. This is a 60, maybe even an 80 grit wheel. I'd normally go a little coarser, but so far that looks pretty good.
I'm glad to report that the chuck has no holidays on it and is in really nice overall condition.
All right, let's measure up these blocks and see how they look. This first one is at 425, 26, 27, 28. Looks like 28.2. 428.2. Okay. Top left. Which is at 428. 428.1. Get another reading on this. 428. 2. Call it 428.2. And let's check this guy. All right, so this one's off a little bit. This is 428. 3, maybe 4. Let's measure that again. 428, 4. 428, 4. Let's go top right. This is 428. 2. Let's measure that again. 428. 1. And last but not least, it's 428. 3. Measure the other side. 428. 3. All right. So if we call this 0, this here is minus a tenth. That's pretty good. This is plus a tenth. This is 0. And this is plus 2/10. Well, for the first pass looking at this, I'm going to double check the measurements, make sure I'm reading the micrometer right. But that tells me that we're just saved ourselves a lot of time. I don't think we're going to be touching this chuck whatsoever. So that's a huge win. I'm really excited about that. Great, let's see what's next. All right, a quick double check over here at the surface plate. What I have is, I'm looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I've numbered the blocks. This is top left, I'm sorry, bottom left, top left, center, top right, bottom right. And based on my measurements, the middle of the chuck, I'm going to call that 0. And the top corner is also zeroed out. And so that's holding true here. And then the bottom right and the bottom left were slightly higher. So let's see. Just barely. Double check that 0 spot. So I'm still zeroed in the middle. And let's bring 5 in again. It's just a slight hair higher. On the mic, I measured maybe half a tenth. So here's the front left. And that as well, just kind of barely higher. And one more check on our 0. Here's the middle. Yeah, so that magnetic chuck, that surface grinder looks spot on, especially for the work I'll be doing. Super happy with that. That means we don't have to go into grind the chuck mode. We can go into maintenance mode, cleaning mode, understanding how the hydraulic systems work, flushing out the fluids. And I don't even need that. I can run it in manual mode just as it is right now, and it's perfect. So I'm really happy with this. Let's move on. Let's take a look at some of the documentation that we have with this machine. It's pretty cool. So the surface grinder came with this folder, K.O. Lee surface grinder. I don't know the history of this machine. Picked it up from a guy that kind of buys and sells. So he, turned it on to make sure that it worked. And but I don't know much about the history, which is a shame. That it's definitely part of the process that I do enjoy, bringing these machines back to life and using them. Looks like we've got a wiring diagram for single phase setup. Not sure that's effective for us, although there was this system does have a coolant pump. I'm not sure what the motor is on that. So this is pretty cool. This is a hang tag that looks like it would have been, well, hung on the machine. It's pretty thick paper. And this is kind of walking you through the hydraulic settings. Over here, so this is another type of hang tag. And this goes through the lubrication. So on this one, there's a lot of indication for factory grease for the life of the bearing. Grease sealed for life. So there's a lot of pieces and parts on here that don't need regular maintenance. It does talk about how the ways are powered with hydraulic pressure. They're lubricated with hydraulic pressure. So I need to go into that a little bit and figure out how that works. And here's the floor plan document. One thing about this device, it's a little low. I don't know if I can raise it up. Instructions on dressing the wheel. Interesting here, a couple of things that I read. One, there should be no effort to spark out. One of the things you keep hearing here is spark out, spark out. Well, this is telling you not to when you're dressing the top. The other thing it says is it does not need to be polished, and it actually, having a polished chuck gives you a lower coefficient of friction, and so it's better to have a bit of a finish. So a commercial grind is better than a mirror finish to provide a better coefficient of friction. So pretty interesting, different points of view. Looks like we've got a price list here, so let's see. This is a 718HG, the full hydraulic. So this was $3,600. Well, this price list says 1969. I thought this was an 80s machine. I'm not sure. I'll have to find the serial number. And it does include some of these tools, you know, the wheel wrench. I'm not sure what these hydraulic tools are for in order to get at the different parts and pieces. It does have this wheel dresser here and electronic controls and the standard motors for the spindle, the hydraulic, and the coolant motor. It does look like there were some three-phase options there, so I'm not sure what the rest of the motors have. So parts list, an instruction book, you know, mine's the 618, not the 718. Mine's the 618 HG. So 36. Oh, isn't that interesting? Okay, now I'm not sure. S618 HG full hydraulic is 3620, and S718 is the same price. They both refer to 618. What's the difference? So I'm not sure. So I took a quick field trip over to the surface grinder, and it is indeed a 718 HG. I don't yet know what year it was made, but so let's see. This is the hydraulic parts list and instruction book. Good luck trying to find parts for any of this stuff now. Goes through what's on the top of the table and what the controls look like. And then here at the end of the book, this is the coolant attachment that, again, I have it, but I'm not using it. This is a flood coolant system. And that tank was filled with some nasty garbage in there. I don't know how I'm going to get rid of that. Hazardous waste day in the town. I don't even know if they'll take it. So for now, it's in jugs. I've emptied it all out, but I don't think I'll be using that. I'll just be sticking with the mist coolant that I have. And then goes through some instructions on how to start the machine, setting the cross feed and the hydraulic system, and a little bit of troubleshooting. Surprisingly, not a lot of instructions. And this is a repeat of the same book. Here's another KO Lee price list for some different tooling, tool and cutting grinders, so not applicable to what I have. That's what this is here. Looks like this got tied in. So pretty cool to see this stuff. This is not my machine, but really neat to see these old catalogs. All right, here we go. Here is the surface grinder booklet. And what is this? This is kind of the brochure that talks about all the features, standard equipment, and the different options. Okay, here we go. The S612 and the 714. Nope, sorry, that's not mine. Those are not hydraulic units. Let's see if we can find. Okay, so here we are, 17HG. The hydraulic table travels and cross feed is available in the 6x18, S6, and S7. Still not really sure what the difference is. Wow, interesting. Okay. It does have the same Ceramax chuck. All right. And then let's see. Hydraulics for tool grinders, except the one that we have. So this is just a different setup again. Okay. All right. So this is the This is some paperwork that came with the coolant attachment, so it does look like this was added separately, purchased separately. But again, some really cool paperwork in here. This is dated 1962 for the wet coolant attachment. Could it be that old? I guess it could be. And then, yeah, this is how the drain, this is the table, and there's the drain that drains into that coolant system. So this is a photocopy of, looks like some original paperwork. This envelope is definitely original. All right, and then we have this final, right from the K.O. Lee factory. Green Brothers, Boatwink Brothers, John Burke. I like that, no area code. All right, and I think these are repeats of what we've walked through. However, they're in really good shape, so I've kept them in that folder. There's just a little note there. So here's the date, 11/21/85. Okay, let's take a look. Again, this is the tool and die grinder. That's not our machine. It's the same. Okay, so this guy is dated January of '83. So we're getting closer to the 80s. And here's a really nice brochure of our machine. Really nice condition. And it's dated 1968. That's going to be fun. We'll read and find out how long. And then here are the hang tags, which are in really nice shape. Very clean. Very clean condition on those hang tags. That's really cool to have. And again, the same price list. So the last of the paperwork, unfortunately, these didn't fare as well as the rest of it, but they're just the tags that would have been hanging on the motors around voltage. So neat to have them. Condition is quite poor. Oh, looks like there's two here. Let's see. Yep, I'm going to take this. Let's just get that. We don't want to be putting grease directly on the surface plate. Yeah, so there's two that are kind of stuck together here. They've been greased. Okay, well that's all the paperwork that came with the machine. Really cool to have that little bit of history. I'm looking forward to learning what the difference between an S718HG and an S618HG is, and when I find out, I will let you know. So I'm going to quickly go back to what I was just reading there. Even though these are not my machines, this S612 and the 714, but what I've, from reading this, the only difference here is on the 6 versions, the vertical adjuster is here on the left, and on the 7 versions, it's up there on the top. Let's do a little walk around of the machine. So as I was saying, it's a little low. As I was cranking earlier, I definitely had to hunch over in order to work the machine, as opposed to being able to stay more upright. But you know, as we saw, our chuck is in really good shape. You can see the Ceramax logo right there. The hydraulic pump, I've taken that off. It was down underneath, and there's an end stop for the chuck. We have this kind of cool, doesn't work really well, light. I've put a 75 watt bulb, or you really need to put something a lot more serious in here. You know, it's got some old school look to it. Just needs to get cleaned up and worked a little bit. It's got a 2-prong ungrounded plug, so we might want to rewire that if we can. There's our spindle motor, our electrical box. It does have the flood coolant protectors. They're down here on the side, leaning up on the wall. So those go across here in the front. So if you are dumping tons of fluid, it keeps things generally organized. That's, you know, I was using this earlier to measure the distance, but this does go to tenths. Each increment there is a thou. Not quite sure yet how this works. It feels like it's some sort of a lock, but that's not, I'm not definite. So the switches here are really cool. Just feel great to operate those. Over here is where the hydraulic piston, because you can take the table off if you unscrew this. You can start to see some of the hydraulics underneath here that work it. Here's your in and out cross feed stops. Haven't set anything up with that yet. And then the original tool holder with a couple of tools, and I'm not sure where that plate goes yet. Here on the front, again, good thing we have the hang tag. It's very hard to read some of this, and I do look forward to cleaning that up. But you can move it here. It's in manual mode, and there's also a lever underneath here that we use for manual mode. So here's Green Brothers. We saw them referenced earlier, Worcester, Mass. That's not Worcester, it's Worcester. Okay, so here's a serial number, so we should be able to track down the year, and then you can see the part number there on the left. So in here, this is where things will get interesting. Here's the hydraulic unit. It is crammed inside there. It is crammed inside there. And, you know, this thing, there's on the left there, here right now in the middle, that's the fill plug. I'd like to get the fluid out of there and change. It takes about 7 gallons. You know, ideally I'd like to clean that up, but I'm not sure how to get any of that out of there. I'm not sure if there's enough slack in the rope. I'm sorry. I'm not sure if there's enough slack in the lines to grab that handle and like basically pull it straight out. And it's got a cool little you know, holder here in the door for paperwork, although I'd never put anything in there because it's going to get really messy. The controls here, again, it's in manual mode, but when it's in automatic mode, you can push that in and it disengages. And again, the crossfeed has another one of those markers, so not sure exactly what that's doing. All right, that's the machine. So far, really happy with the purchase, and looking forward to seeing what I can start doing with it as far as surface finish and making things nice and flat and parallel. Hey, so thanks for taking a tour of my surface grinder. I'm super happy with how the chuck worked out. It's going to be great to not have to grind that guy in. We've already done that on the Brown and Sharp there in the back, so I don't need to do that again. But this thing is in really nice shape. It works manually, works great, and I'm looking forward to getting the hydraulics set up and cleaned up and get that system working. and we'll make another video about that. Thanks again for hanging out here. If you'd like to see those other videos, get notified of them, subscribe to my channel. I would appreciate it. It's really cool seeing the subscriber count go up. Keeps me motivated to keep making these videos and make them better. You know, if I look at my first one to this one, it's hopefully a little bit better. And then, you know, 5 videos from now, it should be better than that. So again, thanks for watching. I do appreciate it. Comment if you have anything to add. Please do so. If you like the video, give me a thumbs up. Thanks, and we'll talk to you later.